So like just to go over the tips that we had in the last session. So I have just written them down, or like listed them down here with some examples. So like let's just go through them once. So the first tip was to avoid redundant categories, which basically means that like when we are using terms like winter or red, we can just remove the words like season or color, like because winter is a season and red is a color. So we don't need to write both of them together. The second tip is to eliminate redundant pairs like personal beliefs, like beliefs are always personal, or a true fact, like a fact is always, it is a fact because it is true. So we can remove these redundant pairs as well. So the third tip is to omit needless words and verbal dead words, which basically means that we don't have to write like big phrases like for the reason that, or uh, despite the fact. We can use like words like for despite the fact, say we can use like although, or for the reason that we can just use because. So the fourth tip to remove unnecessary identifiers, which is again like quite successful or very good or very helpful. So we can remove the intensifiers before those words. So, and then the fifth tip was to remove expletives. No place, there is no place like home. We can just say no place is like home, or it is important that we do that. Like it is important to read social media or newspaper. So newspaper reading is important. We can just remove words like it and there from these sentences. So sixth tip is to reduce phrases to words. So wherever possible, we should try to reduce the phrases like campaign held on Facebook. We can just use Facebook campaign and things like that. Seventh tip, get rid of needless attributions. 100 likes were observed. You can just say 100 likes. Then disregard words that explain or provide excessive details. Eliminate repetitive wording. Remove normalizations. And then this was an important tip, that don't use relative structures. So we can basically, when we say the campaign that was held on Facebook generated sales that were important, so we can shorten this down to the Facebook campaign generated important sales. So wherever we are talking about, say, something that is going on at some place, or we can just remove the words which just add and do not add any value to the sentence. So yeah, these were like some of the tips that we had learned in the last session. So now we can just do this. Basically, I have these 12 set of 8 sentences here. So we can just go around and like discuss like how can we improve these sentences to like make them less wordly. So there is obviously a lot of ways. So we can just like we can discuss these, like anybody, we can do it like a Q&A where anybody can just tell them like what do they think, how we can improve the sentences. So the first one is, he found his neighbor who lived next door to be attractive in appearance. So would anybody would like to volunteer for this?
Who live next door is unnecessary.
Right. So we can, yeah, we can remove this.
In appearance is not, I'm not sure if it's
Right.
really relevant. Might be.
So I think yeah, like I think both of them we can remove because we can, because when we are talking about attractive, we are like, if we're talking about somebody, and when we're talking about attractive, so it gives the context with the word attractive. So we can just say he found his neighbor attractive. It's fine. Then the second one, he was really late to his English class due to the fact that he had to finish his math test. So maybe based on these tips, uh yeah, like how anybody would like to volunteer?
Really, I think really could be removed.
Yeah, we can remove really. He was late to the English class.
Remove due to the fact that with because.
Yeah, we can remove this. We can just change this to because. Yes. I think, yeah.
He had to can be removed. I think finish his maths test because to finish his maths test.
Or
Right. Yeah.
because he
Because of
had a
his math
math
test.
test. Yeah.
Yes. Because he had a math test, or he was finishing his math test. So yeah, instead of had to, we can use just one word here. Right. Okay. Uh okay. So third one is although they were several in number, the street gang feared the police. So
I think several in number can be replaced with few.
Numerous.
Several number is more, no?
so yeah, I think numerous could be a good word. So we can say, although numerous, the street gang feared the police. We don't need they were also, like we can just say, although numerous, the street gang feared the police.
Yep.
Any other ideas?
Despite being in large numbers, that is also one way of writing.
Right, correct. But I think that will that is correct. But I think again, like because we are trying to remove the word, so being large in number or like is little similar to being several in number. So
Okay.
we can maybe reword it as the street gang feared the police as they were numerous.
Hmm. As they were numerous won't make sense. I mean, if they're numerous, they should not be fearful of police.
So the street gang feared the police despite being numerous. Or yeah, okay. Okay. Then the fourth one is, during the time I lived in South Carolina, it was my intention to go to college in Florida.
I think it could be when I used to live in South Carolina.
Right. Yeah. When I used to live in, or when I lived in South Carolina, I wanted to go to college in Florida. We can remove it was, we can replace it was my intention to, I wanted to, or I intended to. It could be maybe a better one. I intended to go to college in Florida while I lived in South Carolina. So during the time we can replace this with while, and with this, it was my intention, we can replace it with I intended to. Uh, any other ideas? Okay, we can go to the next one then. In order to prove he could hold his own on the track team, Gordo had to train like the old runners.
I think in order to is redundant, just to prove should suffice.
So yeah, that's right. So just to prove that he could hold his own on the track team, Gordo had to train. Yes, that, and maybe here where we are talking about that he could hold his own on the track team, we can just say
Prove himself.
in order to prove himself. Correct. Yes. Anybody
Not-
else?
Not sure if it exactly conveys the meaning, but yeah, somehow around that area it does. Yeah. Goda had to train hard like the old runners to prove himself. It's more straightforward.
Yes, I think that makes perfect sense. Yeah, because because to hold his own also means that he's trying to prove himself, or he's trying to prove to himself that he can hold his own. Like so.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, then we can go to the next one. So, if you go to the store, you will see that the store is closed on Sundays because the store owner likes to go to church.
The store is closed on Sundays because the store owner likes to go to the church. So everything before that.
Yeah, exactly. We can remove the whole sentence before this one because yeah, that does not add any other meaning. Like we can. So okay, then we can go to the next one. One time when I went to the park, my friend whose name is Jake went with me, and we had a fun. We had fun due to the fact it was a nice day out. So I
My
think
friend Jake and I went to the park and had a nice day out.
that is right. Yeah. Or we can just say my friend and I, Jake and I, Jake, my friend and I went to the park and had a nice day out, or had a nice day out at the park. Anything works. So we can remove due to the fact. So one time, whose name is, so all of these phrases are like redundant and not required. Okay. Last one. In this report, I will conduct a study of ants and the setup of their colonies.
This report
Anyone?
discusses ants and the setup of their colonies.
Right. Yeah. So we don't require, I will. So this report discusses a study of ants and the setup of their colonies. Is good. Okay.
Doesn't this change the subject from I to the report? If you just said this report discusses I, the first person is not coming into picture. Is that fine?
So I think that is also a little subjective. Depends on like the sentences that like are the, if we are using it in a paragraph. So it depends on like what in what context we are using it for. But like when we say, or we can just say, I will conduct a study of ants and the setup of their colonies. We can just remove, if you want to keep the subject, like if you want the subject to be I, or like if you want to give a first person perspective. If that is not required, then we can use like in this report conducts a study of.
I just thought I will study about ants and their colony setup. If that is fine.
Yeah, that is also fine. Or we can just put, so like again, I think it for this sentence it depends a little on the context we are using it for. But if we can remove the subject, if that does not change the meaning of the in which the context this sentence is used for, then we can remove it. Otherwise, we can, yeah. So both of the ways are good in like basically how we want to like use it in a paragraph or in, yeah, with other sentences. So
Okay.
basically, these were the answers that I had for like that I had prepared for the. We are pretty much like almost gone through the same answers only. So yeah. So now I have this. So basically, now for the next part, I have a small paragraph in the form of a in a Google form, and based on these sentences, based on these tips, we can try and like edit that paragraph to make it more concise. So I have tried to actually make it a little more wordy and not very concise. So we can basically like just take 10-15 minutes and edit that paragraph to make it more shorter and more crisp, like, and not have a lot of non-required words in it. So yeah, I'll just share my I'll share the paragraph. I'll share the Google form which has this paragraph, and like I'll just or tips on the screen so that like you guys can refer to it. Maybe we can take 10-15 minutes to like do the exercise. Yeah, just give me 1 second. I'll share the. Please confirm if the form is opening.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.